Hello, Colfeians. This is the Colfeian Connection, the podcast which aims to connect members of Old Colfeians Rugby Club in business. And I'm delighted to have Andrew Foster here for this inaugural episode. Foz, how you doing?
I'm really good. This heat is not designed for Yorkshiremen in the south, but I'll get through it. I think.
It is a very, very warm time at the moment. Okay, and while we're talking about warm, as a nice little warm-up, could you just give everybody an idea of your Old Colfeians Rugby Club history? You know, what teams you played for, how long you've been around, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. So it starts way back in 1990, a long way away from Old Colfeians. I was playing for Bradford Grammar under 10s. And another character in that team, I'm afraid to say, was Alan Bateson. And so I played at school, played at university, came down to London, and ended up teaching at Colfs again with Alan Bateson. And so got involved with playing a bit of seconds, increasingly thirds, and then became pretty much sort of de facto captain, manager, bottle washer for the third team, chasing people up on WhatsApp and what have you. I had to take a step back from that, unfortunately. So a lot of people will know that my son was born with a genetic condition. Meant he was in hospital pretty much most of his life, and he sadly passed away in 2023. And since then, the club have been fantastic in all the ways they've supported us, and I've been able to get back down and play a bit of rugby again, even though I am now, I'm not just a vet, I'm a super vet, but I have no intention of packing in anytime soon.
Yeah, mate, I'm fully aware of all the work you've done for the third 15, and it's remarkable. So well done on that. But this is the Colfeian Connection. This is the business podcast. So let's get into the game. Andrew Foster, what is your business?
So I am the head of coaching and education for Tougher Minds, which is the world's first human AI performance psychology company.
Amazing. That sounds so interesting. So tell me a little bit about how do you do that? How do you help people in that realm?
Okay. So we try and solve what we call the sort of AI adoption paradox. That at the moment, companies are investing very heavily in AI, but you've got, one report says 77% of employees saying it's decreasing their productivity. It's getting in the way. But this is an incredibly, urgent thing that we need to get our heads around. And it's not just coming from me. You've got, just this week, The Guardian have reported that entry-level jobs down 32%, which if you're a parent like me, you've got to be looking at this thinking, what are our young people going to be able to do in the future? You've got these mega companies like Amazon making big, bold bets on AI being huge. And that's why they're making these massive investments in AI. So we've got to get ready. It's not there's still things that are up for debate as to how it will impact, but whether it will impact, I think the debate's over. We need to get ourselves the absolute most prepared that we can be. And that's what we do. So human AI, performance psychology, anyone who's used AI even a bit understands that you can't just put in your question, take what you get and send that on, job done. It's an interactive process. And that's where you bring in your expertise. That's where, the people that I work with, whether it's people in banking, finance, lawyers, doctors, I've got a judge, an actual judge, they've got a career's worth of expertise that means that they are superb candidates to work with AI and massively increase their value. But that's a change process. We help them through that change process. We help them understand what we think is absolutely crucial. Brain state intelligence, how your brain operates, why it is there are type, we talk about high charge, medium charge, and recharge, and how you manage those to get the absolute most out of your day and the most out of your your work, whether it's with AI or whether it's traditional work. And what we're seeing is people are just once they have that framework that we provide, they're flying. They are instead of being worried about what AI is going to do to their job prospects, they're seeing how it can actually open up things that they put aside as well. I'll never get to that level. I can't really be thinking about being a multimillionaire. That's silly. I'm just like, whatever limits you put on yourself, like, genuinely scrunch them up and throw them away. Everything's back up in the air now. Everything's up for grabs. And the people we're working with are not just realizing that, they're actually taking steps towards making it a reality.
Amazing. Okay, so at the real basic level, AI is great for helping with like automation of repeatable tasks, and that's I think really sort of entry level stuff. What are the kind of levels that you're seeing being used effectively today?
We're seeing it's being aware that whatever you're doing with AI today, that's not going to last you. That might not last you till the end of the year. That might not last you to the end of the month. It's being we're north of specific AI tools. We're not saying, right, go use this, go use that. We'll help on that if we can, but actually our value comes from making people agile and adaptable. And so they are not just asking the right questions, they're then deliberately designing their habits around automating those processes. AI helps to potentially automate, so I will name a specific tool that I use, Calendly, for arranging meetings. And it is incredible how that has just taken something that was so time consuming and made it so hyper efficient. And that's how we, that's how our business operates. And now it just opens everything up. But that's how it's working currently. And we have to be ready to adapt. That system that we have now might not be what we want to be using next year, might not even be what we're wanting to be using in the autumn. So I have to be agile, adaptable. I have to be setting time aside to keeping an eye on how our systems are working. And so, what we see, what am I seeing with my clients? I'm seeing one who's an attorney in the US, initially described herself as like phobic of AI, like just thought it was going to take her job away. She's now the chief technical officer for a company. So she's gone from technophobe, like classic, the IT guy, and just came and turned it on and off again, and now it's working, to being the person who's the key decision maker on technology in the firm. And what she's also doing, and I know some people listening be like, oh, but I saw in the news about those lawyers who got in trouble for using AI. And yeah, that's absolutely right. It is a process, and you have to bring in the same level of rigor and scrutiny, and not just be happy to accept what's coming off whatever AI tools you're using. That has to be part of, if you're a professional, you understand professional standards. And so you can make sure that yourself and the AI, you're a team, and you're the captain. So if part of your team is not meeting the standard, you need to correct for that. And that's exciting work that we're involved in. We're helping people avoid these pitfalls and seeing them just get more out of their days, their weeks, and their years.
Amazing. Okay, so what does it look like? Your interactions with your clients? Is it one-on-one coaching calls? Is there sort of some
Sure.
books or coursework or things like that? Maybe that you sort of use as standard. What does it look?
Yes. So we've got 2 books. We've got The Habit Mechanic, and we've got Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution. The Habit Mechanic is a doorstopper, like 600 pages, but it's deliberately like that because it's a reference resource. When some people sit down and read it front to back, and that's great, but other people never do that and still get value from it, because what happens is they come on my program, and the orientation exercise before session 1, we were saying, right, turn to page 148, use these exercises to map out what you're trying to achieve from this course. And then what are the habits that are going to be most helpful for you in order to work towards those long-term aims, whilst also keeping your short-term just day-to-day life a bit closer to how you want it. Our second book is Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution. That's deliberately kept very short, like 2 sittings type book. It's available on Audible. You can get it in hard copy. Any old Colfeian who wants it, I'll send you the PDF totally for free. So just get in touch. And that is laying out, well, how do you apply these principles around habit, around brain state intelligence to this new AI challenge? Because we think that is, you can use our course to become the best fly fisher in the world. Like, if you wanted, you could use it to become a ballerina. You can use it to read more Russian literature. And if that's your core aim, then fine, I can help you with that. We're pretty sure that pretty much everyone's core aim is getting ready for what's going to happen over the next few years with AI. And that's why our focus is moving towards AI.
That makes sense. I've got to say, I'd probably be more likely to be a fly fisherman than a ballerina. Who else could you partner with? Like, who could help you and who can you help? Is it literally anybody?
In a sense, anyone. However, so, one thing I didn't get to there is like the format. So by and large, one-to-one calls with our clients. We do work with companies and businesses. We can do workshops. We can help get you kickstarted. In terms of people, if you want to start with this tomorrow, it'd be a case doing the program where you'd be booking, and I've got a lot of flexibility. I'm both a lark and a night owl, so I'm capable of making whatever timings work for you. And then those calls, they are means to an end. So a lot of coaching, it's like, oh, it's a nice conversation. I went away feeling a bit better. And then that just fades away and nothing's changed by the time of your next call. Our calls are all specifically around what you're going to do differently between now and the next time that we talk. Whether that's regarding what you do at work. I've got one client coming up. Their core aim is to basically be able to leave work at the door and not get told off for being, just one more work email when you're meant to be paying attention to the kids and what have you. That's a really crucial thing. When we talk about the urgency of it, like, it's amazing, blink of an eye, a 4-year-old becomes a 5-year-old, 6-year-old becomes a 7-year-old. You never get that time back. And so if you're finding yourself on your work emails when you should be reading to the kids or doing something, or spending time with, your partner or have you, an absolute classic one, this, Tim. It's amazing how often, if you say to someone, look, I haven't got a camera in your front room, but I'm going to have a good go at describing it. There's you, and there's your wife, husband, whoever, at the other end of the sofa, and there's something on TV, and neither of you are watching it because you're both on your phones. And people are like, oh, that's, you just described it every, like Monday through to Sunday, every night. Myself and Catherine don't do that anymore. Like, we pretty much only watch TV on a Saturday night, and we make it more like sort of going to the pictures, that we deliberately choose to watch something and it's a treat. And in the rest of the week, we're doing, just doing things that we actually really want to do. A lot of the time, with 5-year-old and a 1-year-old in the house, the thing we most want to do is go to sleep, which a lot of people say, oh, I wish I could get more sleep, But then when it comes down to it, their habit is another episode of Netflix and another stroll through Instagram. And it's a choice, and it gets in the way of what we want to do. We can help you change your choices from being stuff that you end up doing to stuff that you really want to do. And that'll help you at home. That'll help you at work. That'll help with everything you're trying to achieve.
Fantastic. Right. Okay. This feels like a perfect time for a little halftime break. Pause. So this is a little segment where you can get to tell us a favourite moment from your old Colfeian rugby days.
Yes. I think Bill Blythe would lynch me if I didn't refer back to the famous Vigo game, which I think is now, I, I think it's over 10 years ago. It might even be more like 15 years ago. It was tons of snow, tons of mud, proper old Colfeian 15 of all sorts of dubious characters. And it was so close. Somehow I've got a feeling I might even have scored twice, but that isn't what's good about it. But absolutely, I think there was a story that Tubbs broke his leg twice somehow. And in the closing minutes, we were losing by 2 points. We got a penalty, but way out. And Seb Williams, who I think was, on debut, giant second row, was sixth former at Colfs, and he said, "I'll do it." And he ran up, and instead of kicking it normally, he sort of curled it in like David Beckham. It was ridiculous, like the Vigo guys just, and that was it. Yeah. But that was the winner. And there's a brilliant photo of us all celebrating the change room after. Goody is at the front, and he genuinely looks like Shrek emerging from the swamp. He just, and it's just stuff like that. Like, it comes up on your Facebook memories, and I always just stick it on our like little third team management group. Say, yeah, happy Vigo Day, happy Vigo Day. Yeah, we'll never forget. It just sums it up. Not every week is like that, but that, I think, for everyone who played in that, just sums up why Old Colfeians is special and why rugby is special.
Yeah, absolutely. Those dark, muddy days where you have to really fight for each other. Those are the good ones. Okay, mate, let's move this into the second half now. And you've already mentioned a couple of people that you've helped. So what other case studies have you got? Who else have you helped, and how have you done it?
Yeah, so some of you will know Ollie Vidge, who fantastic young man, came through Colf School. Just, one of my memories of him was, I don't know if he really should have been involved in this trade. I think he was 15 and Chris O'Malley was like 18. And obviously, most of you'll know Chris is huge. And Ollie is, he's not a massive guy even now. And back then, little scrum half, and he absolutely just chopped Chris down like a redwood, just like timber. He just took him down. And as well as that, he was also, A stars coming out of his ears, went off to Cambridge, studied medicine, and he's now a doctor at Addenbrooke's. And initially, he quite reasonably, like, he's a surgeon. Like, they can't, do a Fred Flintstone. You're like, oh, the hooter's gone, 5:00, go home. If this operation's going, it's going. And he was, he was saying, look, I'm interested, but have I got time to work with you? But he gave it a go, and what he realised is he didn't have time not to work with us. So he was an example of, actually, there's time bleeding away on things that I don't need to do. My recharge isn't. No one recharges well by strolling, by sitting on the sofa. Actually, you need to. Relaxing is hard work. It takes time. You can take some of the hard work out of it by pre-planning it, creating these habits of getting your recharge. And you can even do that when you're in a unpredictable job like being a surgeon, because there are still patterns. You don't know when you're going to be coming back at 2 a.m. You don't know when these sort of crunch points are going to be, but you can have your crunch point habits ready to go in order to get back on track, get yourself, like it's almost, too obvious a pun, but, surgeons need to be sharp, don't they? They need to be protecting that high charge brain. He's obviously very ambitious, and what he's seen is that it just improves his performance, his resilience, and now AI is coming into the picture, and he's equipped to adapt where, some of his colleagues will think, but I've worked, I was always top at stall. I've done my bit. I just expected to be able to just, do this forever. Well, that's gone now. You're going to have to adapt, and he's I would say he's better placed to adapt than any of his peers off the back of this.
Fantastic. So it's almost all non-work activities that you've helped him with, been able to make him be more work focused.
I would say, well, no, I think he would say that he's able to accelerate his development as a doctor too. Like, so I can't tell him anything about, like I have zero to offer in terms of the incredible, knowledge that he has on medicine. But what I can do is, and that's, I can help him develop his techniques of expanding his, not just his knowledge, but then developing that into skills, and then eventually just pure habit. When you see someone who looks like they're doing it effortlessly, they say, "Oh, born natural." No, practice. Yeah, like you only have to look at Johnny Wilkinson's England debut and look at him, in the World Cup final. He wasn't born to kick that drop goal. He might have had, sort of underlying strengths that have helped him along the way, but without that ability to practice, manage himself, manage his brain states, be in the right place to make a huge tackle at one point, bring it down and kick that goal when it needed kicking, then he can't do it. And it's the same. It's true in rugby. It's true in any line of work. And so within what you're doing, I don't need to be a specialist. I don't need to be able to, that's effectively mentoring. That's not, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking, some people, they say, "Oh, I'm getting coached." Well, what it really means is that someone who did their job before is coming and talking about, "Well, this is how I did it," and maybe there's some insight from that. And it's not, it's probably better than nothing, but increasingly now, a lot of that insight is going to be obsolete. What we need is to be helping people have these structures and frameworks to interpret what is the new normal and how they can move forward with it. So can we help people outside of work? Yes. Can we help people within work? Yes. Can we help them bring it together? Yes.
Fantastic, mate. That is a brilliant example. Okay, let's take this one to the bar now and just remind people, who you're able to help and if they want to get in touch, how they can get a hold of you.
The people who get most benefit out of this are the people who are thinking, I don't want to settle. I don't want to cruise. I want to enjoy my life. I want to have time outside of work. One of the guys I'm working with started a £20 million business from scratch, like incredibly driven. But again, one of his main aims is he's also a father of three. And so he wants to balance, and he's now founding a new business, and he's got massive hopes for it. But he also knows that he's got to keep the father of three and husband plate spinning at the same time. If that sounds even a little bit like you, it doesn't have to be, like whatever you're trying to do. If you're ambitious about it and you've previously had success and you are thinking, I can see it, but I'm not getting there at the moment. Feels like my wheels are spinning a little. Feels like, we're already, where did 6 months go? I'm sure Christmas was 2 weeks ago, but here we are in June. We're now nearer next Christmas than we are last Christmas. If you're looking at the last 6 months and thinking, I haven't made enough progress on the things I need professionally, the things I need personally, then let's have a chat. And it won't be a sales call. Like it won't be hard sell or anything like that. Strategy session where we map out and we say, well, how could this potentially help you? How can you envisage this being something that that delivers massive return on investment for you? Because that's what the clients are working with are seeing, and that's what I see down. Like when you're in the bar at Old Colfeians, you're surrounded by like just remarkable people who are achieving in all sorts of walks of life, and that's part of the reason I'm here doing this podcast is because I know there's a ton of people down there who could massively benefit from this, and I'd love to work with them. It's incredibly rewarding to work with people from any walk of life, but it's particularly rewarding when it's people you know and people, where you're helping them take those further steps and accelerating them towards these big goals that they got for themselves.
Amazing, mate. That's brilliant. And like you say, just having that Colfeian connection makes it all that more valuable, doesn't it? So if people do want to get a hold of you and Foz, how are they going to do that?
Sure. So you can get hold of me anytime, Andrew Foster at tougherminds.co.uk. If you want to know more about this, then our website, tougherminds.co.uk, is a good place to start. If you have any difficulties finding me on any of that, then just ask someone at the club and you'll be able to be put in contact pretty quickly. More than happy to have a chat on the phone, on Zoom, anytime, because it is, it's an exciting point, and there'll never be a better time. Like in terms of my at this stage, I'm still doing face-to-face work and what have you. At some point, we'll be working beyond that, and I'll be managing the people who are doing that. Now, when that point is, I'm working hard to make sure that, we're scaling sooner rather than later. But there'll never be a better time than now to have that conversation and get that benefit. I think the people who get involved down the line, you'll be there in the bar in a couple of years, and someone will be saying, "Oh, and you did that program with Foz, like back then." You're like, yeah, did it? Imagine that now. Like, yeah. I mean, and that's the opportunity that there is here. So get in touch. Let's crack on with it.
Fantastic, mate. Brilliant. People listening, I'm going to link everything that Foz has mentioned there down in the show notes below. So go and get a hold of that. Also, there's going to be a newsletter associated with this podcast and everything else alongside it. There's a link for that in the description as well. So if you're not signed up to the newsletter, go and do that. Lastly, if you know another old Colfeian that is not aware of this, forward it on to them, send them the link, get more people involved, because there's value in the group and we can make it really, really big and connect a whole load of people in business. So thank you very much for listening to the Colfeian Connection. As you see, please get in touch with Foz if you see a good fit for you or your business. And don't forget to tune in next time when the guest will be Mr. Edward Livet. Thank you.